Does it want to work now? I don't know what in the heck happened. Interesting. My bad, y'all. I have no idea what just happened, but we're here. I know y'all can hear me now, so hopefully I didn't lose a lot of y'all. Because I didn't have my ish together. But as you guys can see, yes, are things actually bad? Not as bad as what we all know from 2008. In fact, if you guys look at that thumbnail was literally based off of the sales, right? So how have real estate sales been going? Which it's no shocker to really those that are in the industry or at least working it, because that's kind of one of our main metrics to identify. How is the market doing in itself in terms of activity, buyer activity. But yes, it is a scary sight right now. Things don't look too good, and we'll get into the meat and details of things, but it's mainly because of the affordability being kind of out of everyone's hand. But before I continue, there was something that I literally have to show you immediately because I just saw this just before actually coming on stream. And we got to talk about it because we're going to hear a lot more news on this. This is literally fresh, at least fresh to me, within a couple of hours that I saw this. And so when you see something like this declaring a national housing emergency this fall, what does this really entitle as? What was my next question? All right, when you say this, what does this exactly mean? What are y'all gonna do now? And honestly speaking, when other people get their hands in the pot, things may not look too good. But if I were to sum up this entire article, it's mainly going to be about helping the builders out. Unfortunately, it's not necessarily going to be about helping buyers. It's primarily going to be, again, as you guys can kind of see in the first line, right? The Trump administration is considering emergency measures to address the housing affordability crisis that's left millions struggling to pay rent and priced out of home ownership. So, yes, they're addressing the issue, but they're not going to give you. I don't see any handouts coming from this, based off of even what I read. Everything was all about, as you guys can see here, right? So, Besant, who is, I don't remember who Besant is actually within Treasury Secretary. There we go. So Besant declined to list any specific actions under the consideration by the president, but said that the administration officials are studying ways to decrease closing costs and nationally standardize the local patchwork of building and zoning codes. So, what does building and zoning code sound like? Builders, builders, builders. And as far as decrease the closing costs, that's, I think, the only thing that is going to directly affect a buyer in today's market. Which I think is going to be good if they're actually able to decrease it. Because how much actually goes into closing costs? In fact, if you guys don't know, closing costs will be like, let's say you're purchasing a home for 300,000, right? The range in terms of costs that you're looking for in terms of closing costs, and it varies on the area you're purchasing in, the price point, what's really involved in it. But you can literally sum up maybe an additional 2 to 3.5%. Well, not 3.5, that's excessive, but additional 2 to 3% that will be contributed just for closing costs, which again, I can only speak on really North Carolina specifically, which is taking care of your attorneys, and the attorneys doing the title search, getting any HOA documents, taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance premiums, or PMI if you have either one of the two. What's another service that we see? Title searches. So all of that is really included, and of course lender fees and all that good stuff. But all of that is included in the closing costs in itself, and I'm sure I'm missing plenty more because it's like a plethora of lists that I could go ahead and talk about. But that is what's included in closing costs. So when we talk about decreasing that, even your credit report, actually, I know they started trying, well, at least they did that earlier this year, in terms of trying to reduce the closing costs by making sure that they can get the credit report. Because if you guys don't know, if you guys ever get ready to purchase a home or you've purchased before, look at how much they're charging you to just pull your credit report, which is pretty insane. When I saw it, and I was like, why is this so much? Because I can get a free one every year from what is the website called? Experian.com. So, what's the issue here? What are y'all really searching for? And fun fact about those credit reports, I've been told from a lender that I've worked with before that some lenders, some banks, essentially they would keep like a credit. They'll keep like a tab on your credit report. So if you were to change anything, they'll know probably 9 times out of 10 before you even tell them, because they have a system like scanning whatever the heck you're doing to making sure things are the same. Which when I was told that, I was like, wow, there's really no way of trying to cheat the system. I mean, which I think is good, because I think that's what happened in '08, right? Everyone tried to cheat the system and everybody got. But let's go ahead and get back to this. So that's what they're talking about. In fact, the next article, or at least the page I'm going to show you, is going to really direct towards the builders in terms of what they're looking to solve, and you can see how that kind of goes in line with, how is it going to really help buyers. So I will get rid of this here, unless if y'all really want to take a look at it, then by all means. But I really want to take you guys to this point, because this is what the National Association of Home Builders is at least mentioning. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, just because I want to make you aware that you're going to see these headlines. You're going to see a lot of people talking about an emergency of housing crisis. You're going to see all these crazy headlines. Just know what exactly it is being discussed. Don't get caught up in the sauce, literally. Because I'm just forewarning you right now. I want to go to this 10-point housing plan that they have, right? And this is really going to help builders be able to continuously build. And if builders are building, how does that really help you as a buyer? It's going to bring more inventory into the market. Is it going to bring enough inventory to bring prices down? That's a really great question that I just thought about, because builders are going to try to manipulate and control that as much as possible. So that's a tough one. The only thing I could see is if existing markets or existing homes on the market continuously, or at least begin to increase in terms of the inventory on market, then we can be talking about lower prices in terms of new construction. But again, new construction, they have a way of manipulating a lot, which is not really good for the average person that's trying to purchase a home or waiting for prices to drop, honestly. But here are some of the top 10 things that, at least, or the 10-point plan to solve this housing crisis. So eliminate excessive regulations, which goes in line with the building and zoning codes. Promote career in the skilled trades, which, where you're gonna find this, honestly, if you guys are getting rid of, I'm not gonna even say it, but fix building material supply chains and ease costs, which that's a tariff issue. Pass federal tax legislation to expand the production of affordable and attainable housing. Overturn the inefficient local zoning rules, okay. Alleviate permitting roadblocks. Adopt reasonable and cost-effective building codes. Reduce local impact fees and other upfront taxes associated with housing construction. That would have been phenomenal if it said anything with mortgage insurance premiums or PMI. But again, talking about housing construction builders, that's, I think this is what that whole thing is screaming is, hey, we're going to save the builders so builders can continuously build and they can increase their profit margins so that they can go ahead and continuously make money, and then their stock price continues to go up. Oh my god, do y'all see this? Like, but I'm here to just provide you and give you the information. But anyways, number 9, make it easier for developers to finance new housing. I mean, why help buyers? I think that will literally solve this entire issue. But update employment policies to promote flexibility and opportunity. So those are the top 10 things that at least the National Association of Home Builders has put out there to be able to help solve this issue of affordability that we're all experiencing. All right, but let's get into the real sauce here. Why I upload everything? How's everybody doing? It's a Wednesday. What does they call it? Hump day. Or what's the other one? I forgot what they call the middle of the week. But it's not the time to slow down. If anything, it's the time to speed it up. Whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, don't slow it down. Just because we're in the middle of the week don't mean nothing. But just so you guys know, I do this every other Wednesday. At some point in time, I'll do it every Wednesday when there's enough news and information that I can go ahead and share with you guys, so you guys are all fully aware of what the heck is going on, so you don't get blindsided when you see a headline and now you're like, what do I do next? So we'll get to that point. Up until then, you can catch me here. I always like to I always like to schedule it a little bit ahead. So if you ever are curious, check by Tuesday and you'll know for sure if I'm going to be on stream or not. Because by then I've already did exactly what I need to do to let you all know that I'm going to be there. But with all that being said, if you guys do have any questions, I don't think any questions came in yet, but go ahead and drop it in the chat. Let me know what questions you guys got, and I'll go ahead and answer it, whether it's on your market specifically, a scenario that maybe you're going through, or maybe it's a scenario that of your friend or someone that you know is going through that you want to see how I would navigate it, because I mean, you're essentially going to get my realtor experience at this point. But let's get into this here, which let me go ahead and share my screen, because I know I talked about it and said, or at least this is worse than 2008 housing market. But I want to really preface and discuss that I'm really talking about the affordability aspect of things, because obviously where prices were now is definitely not what was then, what was going on back then. So that is where really I'm coming from, right? And then of course looking at how much sales are actually going on, right? We're pretty much at that 2008 level, which I'll get into and I'll show you. But here's what I want to be able to share with you before we go ahead and continue, just so you know where we're currently at, right, in the housing market. So you can see the median sales. If you look at that blue line, that's literally 2025. You should see it. Let me zoom in because I don't need that bottom chart at all, in fact. But you can see prices haven't really dipped. The last time they did dip at any point, it was in 2022, which, if you didn't know, that was really the real correction in 2022. So if you were really waiting for prices to drop, in 2022 was probably your best opportunity, because as you guys can see, in 2023, all it did was go up, and then it came down a little bit. But this, of course, this coming down, I would not be surprised if this is towards the end of spring, right, or end of summer, sorry, where of course prices start to come down, and it's a cycle. So this coming down doesn't mean nothing, but you see how this in 22 it took a sharp turn, right? That's completely different than what you're seeing in 23, what you see in 24, and what we're probably going to see in 25, which is, that the price is just kind of trend on a downward for the remainder of this year, honestly. And you could watch it. But if you were nickel and diamond and trying to figure out when was the best time to get into real estate, your best opportunity was in 2022. But again, we can't really look at the past. We'll go ahead and continue to look at the future, because there's not much we can do there. Not the chart I really wanted to show you. Come on. Oh, where is it? Actually, let's go take a look and see. Maybe I can't show you this. Okay, this is just existing sales. So we're gonna see this a little bit later as well. This is just another way of looking at it. So this is all 2008, and this is why I'm sharing with you why I'm saying, like, this is not the same sort of market, because in 2008 there was a lot more homes on the market in comparison to where we're at right now, right? It's literally almost half of that, not even, of what was then. So when we talk about, yes, the affordability crisis, this has a big piece of it, this plays a big role into it. And this is just for existing homes. This is for all the home sellers, which again we'll get into later. And actually, I almost forgot to mention, y'all definitely gonna want to stick around towards when I talk about how to take advantage of builder incentives, because this is just talking about existing homes, but we're gonna talk about builder incentives and what exactly you may see. How is it that you can take advantage of it? Stick around for that piece. But we'll getting back to this here. Looking at this, this is just existing homes, and part of the reason why you're seeing it so low is just because how many people do you know that actually refinance or bought a home and they have a really low rate, and they're probably telling you themselves like, I'm not selling, like I got no business doing that, right? So that's a lot of what we're seeing, hearing in the market in itself. So that's why I think this chart here, I think this will always be suppressed until there's real pain where in the market, which I think is probably going to come if there is a job loss issue. But we shall see. Looking at this here, this is where we sit with inventory. So you can, I want to pull this up to be able to show you how has things performed in the past couple of years, right? So as you guys can see, we've just gotten above the 2020 levels, which means more inventory, which is good, right? That's phenomenal for you as a buyer, because that's now going to allow you to have more choices. And also, if you have more choices, chances are those choices are competing against each other. So what's that going to do? What's that going to do? Is going to lower prices. And so that's what we have there. But let's go ahead and see where specifically are those prices really, well, not prices, but the inventory specifically is going up and down in retrospect to pre-pandemic to now. And we can see here, all of the South, what is it, the Sun Belt, Southeast, even some Midwest has more inventory now in comparison to what we look at. I don't know what you call Chicago area. I forgot what the region is for this, but Northeast going over to even Chicago, Minneapolis, right? We have a lot less inventory. So in these sort of environments where you have less inventory, I'm sure the prices of these homes here, which I'm getting ahead of myself, but those homes there are going to be a little bit more, which again, I'm saying I'm getting ahead of myself because I literally have the chart that I'm going to show you of where exactly those prices are still going up or going down. We'll talk about both of them, but here in these markets, of course, you could expect homes to come off the market a little bit sooner in comparison to these that are all in the blue greenish, I would say, color, where there's a lot more homes, so they're on the market a little bit longer. In fact, let me show you this. Speaking of the median home price, so not home price, median days on market, my bad. So you guys can see, I would say we're sitting at about, what was that, about like 40, mid 40s, almost mid 40s, not at 45 just yet, at least based off of this chart, but more or less, look how days on market has performed in the previous years. All right, so the blue line is 2025, and then you guys can see 2022, like it just is risen ever since 22, 23, 24, 25, right? You can anticipate 26 probably be on top of it. Right, so there's a trend here. So days on market is a little bit longer. It's taking a lot more time just because, again, not everybody can buy. I mean, that's just the truth and the reality of things. Everybody's sitting on the sideline like, I don't know if I want to step into this market, or I can't step into this market, for crying out loud. That's why you see a lot of new construction, and why I wanted to discuss new construction, what they're doing and offering their incentives, because it's y'all gotta take advantage of this stuff. Like I can't just keep talking about it. I need y'all to take action on it, because this is exactly how you're gonna go ahead and get into home ownership, especially if if that's something that you essentially want to do. But if you guys are still here at this point, I didn't say this earlier, which is my apologies. So if you're on the replay, Do hashtag replay in the comments just so I know that you tapped in. I can shout you out next time. If you're here live again, remember, go ahead and drop your comments. Your comments. Go ahead and drop your question in the comments or in the live chat. That way I can get a response, or at least I can respond to your question. Also, if you are here live, let me know where you're tapping in from, because then I can tap into your market a little bit more. I encourage you guys to literally share what market, even if you want to come in this market and say whatever market you're in or looking in. I encourage you to do that. Only reason, because then the next stream I'll just provide you more information with what's going on in your market. I'll probably have like a segment specifically of talking about what's going on in your market. That way you could go ahead and take advantage of it. Because right now we're covering things as a whole, right? The entire United States. And sometimes, that could be helpful information, and sometimes I could see it like, well, who cares? Like, you may not care what's going on in the entire United States, because real estate is very, very, very hyper local. So, understanding what's going on in your market is always going to be very important, to say the least. But housing affordability, right? As we all know, it's an issue. So, if I had to go ahead and share my screen, we can kind of see how prices have done in the previous years. And I would say, as I'm looking at this chart right here, I was reading, and it said like national home prices were roughly 60% higher than in 2019, according to this study here, which is the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies. Right. But I want to continue. Here's one of the big reasons why we're going across that whole housing affordability thing. We talked about it a little bit earlier, so I won't really touch upon it too much, which is simply existing homes being a little bit more than new construction. If I didn't say it and you're just finding out for the first time, well, surprise. I could have dropped a nice sound effect, but surprise kind of thing. If you guys don't know this, this is why also I am encouraging you to really look at new construction, because they're able to do a lot more than a home seller that wants to sell the home for top dollar, needs maybe the money for whatever circumstances is going on in their life, or maybe they just want the money to go ahead and purchase the next home with. So existing homes, being more expensive, it's like, in my opinion, that don't make no sense, but it is what it is, right? So you just know what you're dealing with when you step into that market. And again, every market is different, so keep that in mind. But part of the big reasons why home affordability is pretty bad is because of mortgage rates. If we all remember, we all saw them go really low in 2020, going all the way to 21. And then they shot up like no tomorrow, from like maybe the threes easily to like sixes, 6 7s, and that right there hurt a lot of people from being able to get into it. But this is just showing you, I'm sure you guys already know, but this is just showing you again how interest rates have done over the course of time. And really, I would love for everybody to have a really low mortgage rate as well, but obviously people above me has said that's not feasible. And so you have to live with what you have to live with. And so I say all this to say is, yes, the mortgage rates may be high in comparison to where it is that you would like it to be. If you wanted to go back to where it was in 2020 or even 21, you can maybe prep your kids to purchase because I don't think we're gonna see it in our time in the lifetime. If this does happen, I think we'll be all, somewhere else. We won't be watching this stream, and I definitely won't be here telling you like mortgage rates are as low as what they once were, because I think a lot of individuals that purposely caused it learned their lesson, and I don't think it's gonna go back there, especially when we have inventory as where it is, right? Not as much. Right, we just crossed 2020 levels, and so I doubt that we're gonna see it. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to break the bad news to you, but I just want to be real and just keep it transparent with y'all. Like, what exactly we talk about, and better yet, what exactly are we all experiencing, or at least expecting? So go ahead and take a look at this once more, so you can see really how mortgage rates have done in the past and where they're at right now. Because this can kind of give you a little bit of hindsight. It's not as bad as we all are making it to be. Because if you really, really think that mortgage rates is going to solve this affordability issue that we have, you're gonna have a rude awakening at some point in time. Because let's put it like this: when you lower rates, this is exactly what's going to occur. You lower rates, you give current home buyers who are like, I'm not gonna get rid of my house. Now they say, hey, I can get rid of my house. And let's say they bought it let's say 5, 6 years ago. Nine times out of 10, well, not, I shouldn't say 9 times out of 10, there's a high possibility that they have a lot of equity in that home in itself. So what's going to happen is you just lowered rates for an individual to say, all right, now I can make my move now. So that individual is going to essentially take their equity plus what they already have and go out into the market and compete against you. Not only that, but they're also going to become so as I mentioned here. So right, a seller is going to eventually become a buyer at some point in time. Not all of them, but majority of sellers become buyers. So now not only do you have to compete with sellers who are becoming home buyers, but now you got to compete with home buyers who are like, oh what, oh nice, I can step back into the market now. And so I personally don't think lowering the rates is going to solve this housing affordability issue. I really do think it's going to only boil down to lowering the prices of the homes. And how do you do that? I guess we looked at the top 10 things that the builders at least want, and of course, going into closing costs. But as you guys can see, nothing really talked about the home prices in itself, right? They're talking about things that are involved in it, but is it really going to lower the price? I know that I live in America, and I know this is a capitalism world economy, I should say. So I'm going to go on my own ledge and say absolutely not. These builders are going to literally try to nickel and dime and get everything out of you possible. But looking at this chart right here, this is what I call the Goldilocks, or what a lot of people are saying. I think they're saying the golden handcuff. So if we look here, this is why existing home sales are so low. Look how many people have a sub 3 mortgage rate, right? So this is people with less than a 3% mortgage rate. If we look at this, let me zoom in more. If we look at this baby blue, right, this is a 3, so just about 4%, right? So we're talking about, and I only want to focus on what's recent. So let's look at what's at 2020, right? So approximately like 35% of the market, I would say. I mean, of course, it got worse in 21, where it's like almost 50%. But this is part of the reason why a lot of home sellers or home owners don't want to sell, right? So if we look at this gray line here, this is between 4 and 5, right? And then if we look here, it's 5 and 6, and of course, this is 6 and above. So you can see not a lot of people have it, right? But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. I was just staring at it myself just to kind of see like how crazy this is. I mean, mortgage rates right now are like 6.5 ish. So what the heck is that? My bad. But here is the beautiful chart that you saw. It's coming. I see it as very, very blurry. I hope it's not coming blurry on your end as well. But this is based off of how much sales were actually occurring. Here's 2010. This is 2009. This is 2020, and this is kind of where we're at right now. Every time we've gotten to this level, what have we done? We bounced up off of it. All right. I'm not gonna go ahead and try to read this chart for you and tell you exactly what's going to occur, but I mean, you guys can all see it. You know, history kind of repeating. History is repeating itself, slowly but surely. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm just telling you exactly what it is that I see and how I'm interpreting this information. But if you think things are going to get worse from here, I'll tell you right now, they won't let it happen. And I have zero control over that. But again, this is 2009, this is 2010, and this is 2005. Now, and this is 2020, and this is 2025. If things do get worse, I'll be the first person to come up here and tell you, things are not looking too good. So this is the one place I could definitely say that, hey, you can tap in and know that I'm going to share with you all the information that I possibly know and that can help you in this market. In fact, if you do need help in your market, or you need someone that's going to protect you, give you an advantage, and even help you find the right home in this market, go ahead and in the description, there's a link. It's next to agent referral. Click it. That way I can connect you to one of the agents that I'm at least partnered with that I know will protect you, give you an advantage in this market, and help you find the right home. That's only if you need that. If you don't need it, or maybe if you have a question, then go ahead and drop it in the chat or even the comments, and I'll make sure to go ahead and respond. I see every single comment, by the way. So even if it's a spammer, I see it all. But let's get back to this, because you see this? Look at this picture here. I really want you to focus right here specifically. Around that 2008 and 2010, where there was nothing but chaos going on. Because I'm going to share with you this here, which may slightly blow your mind. Because when I was told about this not too long ago, I was like, whoa, wow, you have a point. So, as much as we all remember, want prices to come down, I think it's getting harder and harder to do so. Not because I'm a real estate agent and I make money regardless, y'all. One thing about me, I will make money in every single market, like Jay-Z said, right? I could sell water to a well. So I'm on God's green earth, so I'll figure out how to triple my worth. I'll figure it out. But I'm sharing this because, yes, this is the population of the entire United States. Sure, growth rates may have fallen in the past couple of years and so on and so forth, but let's take a look to see where we are in 2008. Now, let me zoom in so y'all can see this, because I need y'all to be here with me, right? I need y'all to be here with me right now. All these ads, I don't know why any of them are here, but if you can't see it, that's fine. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm looking at a chart right now, and I'm trying to share with you what was the population of the United States in 2008 intentionally. And that was 304,000. Just about, I would say, if I would round it up, 305. I said 305,000. That's crazy. 305 million. 305 million. Why am I butchering my numbers so much? All right. So 305 million was the population in 2008. And if y'all remember that chart, sales were really low, right? We're pretty much at that line. If you need me, I'll bring it back up for you. I'll bring it right back up so you can take a look. So you can see that dotted line. Use that as a reference point. That's where we're at right now. All right, let me go back to this now. 305 million. Right? Come on now. All right. At this current moment in 2025, we are at 347 million. We're talking about roughly 40 million of a difference in terms of people, more people. So when we really sit here and sit with me and think real quick, like this is just one-on-one time right now. And this is when I was like, oh man, this housing market could get even worse. So you're telling me we're at the same point of where we were in 2008, but there's more people that want homes. I mean, we're talking about 40 million people, more people since 2008. I would let you sit on that. And I'm just sharing this with you, not to burst your bubble, but to just really share with you, like, I don't know how things will get better. And I hate to be the Debbie Downer or the person that, don't have good news. Like, I'm always thinking, how could I strategize? How is it that I can put you all in position to be able to take advantage of this stuff? Take advantage of this market. But when I was told that, I was like, oh no, that's not good at all. Yeah, sure, a lot of people may not be able to afford right now, but let the housing affordability crisis get fixed. This is not a good sight. In fact, my bad. Let me know in the comments how many of you are actually waiting for better housing conditions. I'm curious. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Uh, just let me know because I'm curious to know how many of you guys are actually sitting on the sideline to verify whether this information that I'm thinking or even how many people are actually sitting is correct. I can tell based off of the people that I'm working with and the people I'm speaking to, but it's that's only a limited amount of people. So there's that, right? So we had our one-on-one session. We can continue to go ahead and truck through this inventory stuff. I got more information I'm going to go ahead and share with you. Just let me pull it up because I know you guys all did see the inventory already, so you guys should already know. But this is, I know I showed you existing. I know I showed you where we are in terms of where we were from 2020, so year by year. Now you can take a look to see how things are in terms of new construction. So this is only looking at new construction homes. So when we take a look at it, you guys can clearly see as well. We're well one. This is what you say. What 180, maybe 190, and we're at 120 in terms of how many unsold homes are on the market. So don't get me wrong. This is not a number to celebrate on. And if anything, this is why I want to be able to talk to you guys all about new construction. Don't sleep on it because you'll only be doing yourself a disservice. Right now, you can see, right? Slightly, I would say builders are kind of screaming and asking for help, but to say the least, I don't think they're desperately crying for help. They just want to be able to move on, get their home sold, and be able to do what they got to do. And so when we take a look at this is exactly what it's screaming. So in comparison to 2008, we're not there. Are we rising towards it? Maybe. And yeah, we are rising towards it. I mean, are we going to get up here? I don't know. Time will tell. I am not a fortune teller. If any of y'all have a fortune teller that can go ahead and tell the future, please let me know what you see. But this is where we're at right now. In fact, I want to give you guys another opportunity at least, if y'all not scared, to drop whatever question you have. Because I have to take a sip of water. And answer a few text messages. Alrighty. So let me know if you guys do have any questions. I also, not while we're at it, I just thought about it. I started to open. Well, I've been starting this newsletter I was doing a newsletter for the people that I've come across with just to keep them up to date with the market, but I recently just opened it up for the public to be able to tap in and join into it. If you, it should be in the description. That I don't know. If not, you reach out to me, let me know, and I could definitely make sure to add you on the list. Again, this is every week you're gonna get something sent to your inbox. I mean, I hate to say it, as much emails that we already get, another one. You're probably like saying another one. Ah, actually, I have that. I have that. Look at that.
Another one.
Yeah, I got it. I got you with that one. Um, but yeah, no, seriously, it's really on a weekly basis because I know I don't do the streams every week. So just to kind of keep you up to date, a lot of times what I share on the stream, I don't share in those emails intentionally or those newsletters intentionally because I don't want to repeat information. So if you're here, great. If you get the newsletter, you're gonna get a different sort of information from whatever happened from Wednesday to Friday, right? Because I do drop it every Friday that you will find this. So if you don't need to reach out or don't want to reach out just quite yet because you're not ready, but you want to keep up to date with the market, of course, come on, join me on Wednesdays when I'm here. But if you don't want to join me, but you still want to stay in touch, the newsletter, I got you there too. Well, let's go ahead and discuss what strategies can you really unleash in this market. And it's mainly going to be new construction, as I've already said, right? There's zero reason why you should be. Let me rephrase that. There is a good reason why you should and go towards existing homes. That is, of course, if it's the best home that you see for you. However, if you are having trouble finding a good home that's an existing home and you haven't taken a look at new construction yet, then I need you to perk those ears up. I need you to tap in real quick and share this with whoever it is that you need to share this with because the people that are in the market, they need to know about this. I mean, this is literally, if you don't do any of this, or if you don't even know what's going on, you're losing out on money. Literally, you are losing out on money. So, if you guys don't know, home builder incentives, that's a really big thing. I'm pretty sure I've discussed it before. And it's all to help, again, this housing affordability as well as to help buyers. I mean, this bill is really trying to help buyers get into homes so they can go ahead and move on with their plan, their projects, and whatever it is that they're trying to do. In fact, I actually, here, I'm looking at my notes here, and it says according to the National Association of Home Builders, nearly 60% of builders were using sale incentives as of the beginning of 2025. So, more than half are using you're using incentives to help buyers get into homes so that you guys all can do it exactly what you want. So, what are these incentives? So, some of them can be mortgage rate buy downs that you'll see, closing costs assistance, or even grants. I'm not seeing too much. I'm not seeing grants at all. Actually, not from builders. You probably have to get those from your state, the state housing authority. You'll probably have to get those grants. But I will say, closing costs assistance for sure. Upgrades. I know one thing builders don't like to offer or give out is blinds for whatever reason. Blinds and screens. So if you're walking through a new construction home and you don't see blinds or screens, that's literally intentional. You can, maybe if that's something that's really important to you, or you just don't want to buy it and you really haven't asked for much, maybe you say, hey, if you really want me to purchase this home, let me get some blinds and screens for my windows. So, we're seeing upgrades. Of course, upgrades also will include appliances, to washer, dryer, refrigerator. I mean, I haven't seen anything go beyond that. If you're able to negotiate something beyond that, great for you. Also, price reductions, which that's one of the last things that they're doing, but they're doing it. I think here, I don't know if I have a chart to show you. Let me see real quick. Of builders and them cutting prices. I don't think I do, but that would be a nice one to have. But yeah, they're cutting him. So if you have your eyes on one or two new construction, you know, homes. Just keep your eye on it to see how they perform and make your offer, make your best bet. But now that you know what incentives are being offered, you take advantage of this stuff. I mean, sometimes it's laid out in front of you and they'll tell you what their offer is at the current moment, which is great. Or some, I hope you don't have to do the digging and figuring it out. But one thing I do want to caution you all on, because I'm seeing it more and more and more. I think we're probably going to see more people talk about it. Is adjustable rate mortgages. Be cautious. I'm going to scream this to the top of my lungs every single week, every single video that I possibly can, because they're coming back. And a lot of people are making noise around it. So a lot of people making noise around it may make it a little bit more comfortable, like make buyers comfortable, or at least think that this is the norm, right? When you can still get a fixed rate. In fact, you could probably still get the builder or even the seller, if the seller wants to go ahead and buy down that rate. But why are we getting ARMs, adjustable mortgage rates, more familiar in this market, or at least more normal or talked about? Is because those rates are a little bit lower than a fixed mortgage rate. So just keep that in mind. But what are the things you can do in terms of offers, or at least not even offers, but just strategies? It could just truly indeed be using what I just said, some of the incentives that they're already currently offering, using some of them to strategize. And how is it that you're going to position yourself to go ahead and purchase that home so that by the end of year 3, 4, or 5, you're not in a bad situation? I know a lot of sellers, not even sellers, but homeowners right now who want to sell, but if they sell, they're selling for a loss because they bought too high, or they rushed into it and didn't take advantage of certain scenarios. Like let's just and I'm rambling at this point, but let's just say if you had a mortgage rate of, let's say, below 6, right? Because that's where we're currently at. You can actually bake that into the price in itself, because you can, like, that's a selling point essentially. I mean, who doesn't want a low mortgage rate? But of course, that can only happen on FHA and VA loans that can be assumed that way. So if you have a conventional, then you can't really have that be a selling point. But there's a lot of different things you can do, right? So utilize utilize what you can and what you will to navigate the way you want to navigate. We have a question that came in from, and if I mispronounce your name, I apologize, but Sorab, Podar. Okay, will there be a demand for condos, especially in downtown Toronto, now that many employers are demanding back to work office? Will there be a demand for condos? Hmm, really, really good question. I could see a demand for just housing, not a demand for specifically for the market, specific markets, especially in downtown Toronto. I think that's really, I mean, if you look at any downtown area, there's nothing but condos. So to answer your question, I would definitely see a demand for it. Of course, if the market at least allows for it to be its thing, right? Especially if that's the buyers want to be in that downtown area. As long as buyers want to be in that area, that's fine. Just, I know Toronto is a different market. Canada specifically, they operate a lot differently. If you do need some sort of expertise specifically on Canada, I could talk a lot about U.S., but Canada's market, they do things a lot differently. Even their loans. I know a Canadian real estate agent out there, and he's breaking it down to me on how they do real estate with their home loans, and I was just like, yeah, y'all got some stuff going on over there. Um, but condos always are going to be a high demand, especially in downtown areas. Everybody wants to be in the heart or soul of things. And I don't know if you're talking more or less on, renting it, or even trying to get rid of it, or trying to make sure that you purchase properly. I get all of those scenarios there, but where people want to be, that's the key thing. Where people want to be, that's where you want to position yourself to be able to purchase in, so that if you need to get rid of it, if you need to sell it, if you need to do something with it, you have that ability, you have the flexibility to be able to do so. Um, and I'm actually surprised. Toronto, they're just now demanding people to get back into the office. I mean, they've been doing that here in the U.S. for some time now. So, and what we're seeing now, so I guess I'll just relay this message, and maybe you can kind of use this information to help you. So, with people that moved out of their high dense areas, like your New York, New Jersey, so a lot of Northeast, those individuals moved all over the country. I mean, mainly they moved south, right? They got away from the hustle bustle, the dense areas, to move to slower pace, more space kind of scenario. But when those individuals got demanded back to work or back to office, at their headquarters, wherever it is, all they did was just sell whatever they purchased and move back. Right? What did they move back into? That I don't know the question too. But it's of course it's gonna vary. If of course if they didn't have something, then they had to purchase again. But just to kind of share the scenario that we at least experience in the United States on that demand of employers requesting people to go back to the office. Hope that answered. Hope that helped. But Canada is a different beast, a completely different beast. What other tactics can you employ? So I'm not seeing this occur right now. 2-1 buy downs, right? Or I'll explain. Or 3-2-1 buy downs. I'm seeing just these builders or even the builder representatives. What they're offering is just a low rate mortgage. Obviously mortgage, so a low rate, I would say a low mortgage rate. That's all that I'm seeing, right? So they got rid of doing all the 3-2-1 buy downs, the 2-1 buy downs. I guess it just wasn't cost efficient for them to be able to continue to do so. But that's something that you can negotiate. You're not going to see that, so you can make it happen, maybe. Or what you can do is, if you're on the existing side of things, because the 2-1 buy down is going to be a little bit cheaper than trying to buy down your rate entirely, right? If you have a seller that's, I mean, existing home that you absolutely love it, you need it, right? This is maybe the time to like, hey, you really want to get your rate lower. This could be the opportunity to, get your rate lower by incentivizing, by hey, I'll buy it if you give me a 2-1 buy down or 3-2-1 buy down, right? So, or what you can do any other concessions at that point in time. It doesn't necessarily even have to be about the rate, but I'll stop here and see if y'all have any questions on anything that I just talked about, because I know I kind of just flooded y'all with information. If no information, then I mean no information, no question, then I'll go ahead and truck away. Oh gosh. All right, I know I talked to you. I said we're gonna talk about prices, so here we're at. Here's prices. So this is prices from last year of July of 24 to July of 25, and in each area that you see here, this is area that have either been flatlined or have been rising. So not every market, right? Out of I think this is only 195 markets are seeing home prices rise over the year over year. All right. If you want, you can take a look at that. The next one, you really want to take a look at this one, because this here is about markets that are falling, right? So seeing falling in terms of home prices. So home prices going down. As you can see, it's less than what we previously looked at. And this is as speaking of July of 2024 going into 2025, right? So as of a year ago, a lot of these markets here are seeing home prices are less, as you guys can see. And one thing I will definitely say that what I'm really seeing, or at least what I pick up from what I see here, wherever a lot of people move to during like the pandemic era, those are the markets that are getting hurt. So, if you're looking in one of those areas, which it was mainly the south, the southeast, going all the way to Midwest. I know California is going through some inventory issues, so I'm surprised to see that they're falling. But of course, California is such a large state that every place is gonna be a little different. But that's I would say this big old area right here is where a lot of people moved during the pandemic, and either they bought a little too high or they had to move back. Like so Rob said, they had to move back because their employer told them to. But I'm curious. I want to go back to look at this real quick. As we can see, yo, Florida's not even on the map for this one. Woo! Jeez. My bad if I screamed in your ear. That's very shocking. But Florida is a hot destination, and for it not to even be on this map at all, this is specifically where home prices are rising. So, just wanted to point that out to you all. Oh man, this is gonna be an interesting time. But for everyone that really wants a housing crash, I would I'll challenge you to ask yourself this question. If the market really goes haywire, like if there is a real crash, I'm talking like prices come down 20 plus percent, because that's considered a crash. If prices come down 10%, that's technically a correction. It's not a crash. So let's not confuse the actual term, right? You'll see people say crash, crash, crash this, crash that. That's literally what people like, right? Headlines. The headlines get people to click, and unfortunately, that's what people like. Hence, probably why you clicked on this video, right? Because you think things are worse than, well, things are worse than, things are worse in a different way than 2008. 2008 was just bad loans. Here we have housing. Here we have a housing affordability problem. So, but let's talk about it. If there is a crash, I want you to really think how are you positioned? Because if there's a crash, that means the economy is going bad as well, for the most part, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be the case, but real estate is a big component of the economy in itself. I forgot how much trillions of dollars does the real estate do on an annual basis, but if that is something that you're curious about, you can go ahead and look that up. Real estate is a big component of the GDP, or even just the economy in itself. But again, if there is a crash, which that means chaos is in the economy, where are you individually positioned? Are you going to still have a job? Because this is what's probably going to happen, right? People are going to lose their jobs. People are going to probably lose some of their savings, right? A lot of people want this crash. Yeah, I see it all the time. I hear people, I can't wait for prices to come down. I mean, y'all are begging for a crash. So, are y'all ready for one? So, I just want to share that with you because, be careful what you wish for. That is all I will say on that part. And let's talk about if there is a real crash. I don't know the likelihood of this occurring, but we know that the government has a way of intervening. So, if there is a real problem, if the government doesn't intervene, then yeah, the problem will get worse. But if they intervene, then it does seem like things will be a okay. And so, are you in position right now to be able to take advantage of the opportunity that we're in now, or if you're going to go ahead and wait to take advantage of the opportunity that you're going to be in later? I will say a lot of people I don't think are really thinking about if a crash occurs, if they're still going to have their job, because again, not having your job is a big component of you qualifying for that loan to begin with. Now, if you're paying cash, excuse me, big baller, you got it made, right? But like I got you, yeah, that way. But no, on a serious note, if you're not positioned to really, not lose your job or anything, then be wary, right? Just start positioning yourself now because it can and it may come, and if it does, what's your next move? But if there isn't any more questions, I do want to let you all know that on Wednesdays you can find me here, right, talking about what's going on in the real estate market for the United States specifically. I mean, I would love to speak on Canada. I mean, nationally speaking, man, I really wish I had my guy on to answer that one. But we're here to talk about the United States, real estate market on a weekly basis, well, bi-weekly basis. If you do want, actually, if you do want weekly updates, you can always subscribe to my newsletter. That's something that you can do. Or you can just go ahead and, if you don't want to subscribe for whatever reason and you want me to actually do it for you, just complete the referral form saying, hey, add me to your newsletter. But no, on a serious note, if you do need an agent in your area, before I get out of here, I just got to say this. If you do need an agent in your area to help you, find the best home, to give you an advantage in this market that is already a buyer's market, for crying out loud, or to make sure you are not getting taken advantage of, just go ahead and click the link in the description next to agent referral. That way I can connect you to a real estate agent in your local market that you're either trying to buy or sell. Right? Because again, you got to remember, sellers become buyers. And if you didn't know, now you know. But overall, this market, yes, it's bad. Is it as bad as 2008? Yeah. I mean, affordability wise, yeah. In terms of qualifications, in terms of the health, how healthy, maybe a buyer or even a homeowner is, those are two different conversations. So, can it get worse? Yeah, it can. We'll see what happens. I can't foretell the future, but if you can, please let me know what you know. But with all that being said, if no other questions came in, I'm gonna tap out and I'm gonna see y'all when I see y'all. And if you guys are ever curious if I am going to be on stream doing a live a specific week, come to my channel on Tuesdays. At that point in time, you would know, just because I would have done what I needed to do to alert you that I do have an upcoming stream. So, with all that being said, y'all be safe. Peace out.